Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everyday Daylight, the hyperreal normality of video games. A performance by Ismaël Joffroy and Total Refusal.
Hello, everybody. Nice that you joined. And nice that technically everything seems to work now. This is great. Hello, especially Ismaël. Ismaël is a filmmaker, Ismaël Joffroy Chandoutis, filmmaker and artist working in video games, just like the three monkeys of us. Ismaël will be in the avatar of the cat. So,
Meow, meow.
hello, Ismaël. Nice that you will come with us today. And the three monkeys, this is the collective Total Refusal, consisting of Leonhard Müllner, Robin Klengel, and Michael Stumpf. We are the chimpanzees. Welcome. First, before we start, maybe just a short thank you to the institutions making this performance possible, which is the Centre Culturel de Suisse, the Kunstraum Niederösterreich, and of course the Gaieté Lyrique for hosting us. Thank you. And also for the Austrian Cultural Forum in Paris for supporting. Thank you a lot. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. And also, we have to thank some modders for making this possible, right, Ismaël?
Yes, it's Antasouris and Transmet, which are a team part for a server called Los Santos multiplayer.
Great. Yeah, where are we here? For everybody who is not so familiar with the surrounding, this is the game GTA 5, a game that was released in 2013 already. And it's an open world game, so it means we can go everywhere. It's a whole place to explore. And the city that we see in front of us is called Los Santos. It's kind of a resemblance of LA, so it's not quite completely LA, but there are many similarities. And the interesting thing about this city is that it's not only in the real world, the center where most films are being shot, but also the digital version of it. Los Santos is a place where most films are made, most digital films are made. It was used as a film set for really a lot of films and art projects. And in this talk now, we will explore some of them. We will visit some locations where some films were shot, where some performances were done that we found interesting. And on the way, we will talk about the hyperrealism, the hyperreal normality of these video games and of all video games, because we think it's interesting to discuss it in the context of artworks, because artworks always have to kind of either deconstruct or appropriate hyperrealism. But that's something we will discuss later. It is also an interactive tour, so feel free to use the chat room. I see you do that already. Please type in English, otherwise we will not understand it, but feel free to ask questions. If you want to ask something, then please make yourself an account for Twitch, otherwise you will not be able to post anything, but you will still be able to follow the video because, the stream, because this is easy. But if you want to communicate with us, just do it. The first question is already there. Will Total Refusal survive the tour this time without Walter Janssen's protection? Yeah, we hope so.
I mean, if the tests are anything to go by, then probably not.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. In the tests, we really died very often, but we will hope to survive now. Anything else? In the end of the tour, we will conclude in a cinema. There's of course also an online cinema in GTA 5, so we will go to the cinema and we're going to watch two films. One film from Ismaël, which is Swatted, and one film from us, which is the film How to Disappear.
And we'll of course be sticking around until after the films, so if you do find that you have any questions regarding the films as well, you can still use the Twitch chat to ask away while the films are running, and we'll get back to you after the films.
Great. And also we will post the different artworks on the way. So Marie from the Gaieté Lyrique will post them, so you can follow it and you can explore them later and see what they're all about. Yeah, great. Any more questions? Not at the moment, then no, let's hop in the car and drive around. Oh no, I have to say something about the grill.
To talk about the place.
Yeah, of course.
We're starting here at this beautiful sunset vista, Robin.
Wait a moment, Michael. I got the message that you're barely that nobody can listen to your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
that's interesting. Okay, I'll try to fix that. Just a second.
Okay, maybe
But
then
yes,
we can.
you can explain away about why we're starting here while I do that.
Yeah.
I mean, where we're talking about hyperrealism is hyperrealism means every sunset is the perfect sunset in hyperrealism in video games, which is actually what we are right now about to enjoy, which leads us directly to our starting point, which is Robin.
which is the film Martin Pleur by Jonathan Vinel. It's one of the probably most well-known films. Maybe you've heard about it. That was shot in GTA 5. It was shown at the Berlinale a few years ago, which is about a lonesome character that is kind of trapped in this game world, searching for his friends, but he doesn't find them. So he's basically all alone in this huge place with all these NPCs, with all these non-playable characters. Kind of lonely place, and yeah, it's good movie. It's like short movie of 16 minutes. So maybe you can have a look at the trailer. Marie just posted it. It's a good one. Yeah.
By the way, I've applied some microphone boost, so if the chat could get back to me on whether you can hear me now, that would be nice. Thank you. So before we get going, I'm gonna change, even though I feel very at home in my chimpanzee body. We all know that chimpanzees make for rubbish camera people, so I'm gonna change to my human form to get access to all the camera controls.
Which is what I'm doing not, because I'm just the humble driver. Let's get into the car.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, no, this is a bad idea. I think I will fall off immediately.
Yeah.
Also,
don't
the
try
cat
the
needs...
back. Oh no, it's going to the back.
The cat inbox.
Let's try.
Now
let's
you're.
try, but
Okay.
You will die.
slowly.
I
Drive
just
slowly.
tell you.
Okay, let's maneuver my boring human form into this most obnoxious of all vehicles.
So I am the driver. I will take care about your safety.
I'm sure you will.
Go on, Leonhard.
Oh la la. I'm gonna puke.
Yeah, this is the
Yep.
cat thing. Yeah.
Okay, Ismaël, you fell out of the vehicle.
Yeah. I'm
No
gonna try
thanks
to
to
follow
your
you.
driving.
Okay, Leonhard was selected because he's the worst driver of us all.
Where are you?
We'll wait
Yeah,
for
just-
you down here.
We will wait for you.
Ah
a
yeah,
second.
cool. I see you.
Should I transport?
But this cat doesn't want to run.
Yeah, don't.
No, it's okay.
You're just gonna run him over. I know you're gonna run him over if you drive
Yeah.
towards him now. So just stay where you are.
Just let him come. In a painstakingly slow walking cat.
Maybe you want to take one of the indoor seats this time.
Maybe.
There is a glitch.
Yeah, I see
Well,
you're
I
walking
cannot-
like across
Ah, yeah,
against
okay.
an
Now it's-
invisible wall
now-
or something.
Yeah,
I
there was
think
an
it's
invisible wall. Oh
Because
yeah,
it's very
again.
steep, probably.
Okay, but now if it's a plain road, I think it should be okay. So I go out.
Okay,
I need fresh air.
let's hope. Leonhard, try not to completely like make the car fall over.
So as we drive into Los Santos, I guess it's as we quote unquote drive into Los Santos, I guess it's worth pointing out a couple more things about this city. In spirit, it's heavily inspired by Los Angeles, albeit it's not a total replica. Meaning it has a different infrastructure and different architecture than Los Santos, but both the architecture and the structure of the city are heavily inspired by Los Angeles, and that is also true for cultural phenomena and social aspects of Los Angeles that are also part of this digital playground here.
Yeah, they have not only like how maybe other games would do it, only like take the representative quote unquote parts, but they really try to make it a kind of interesting universe. So they have implemented a whole lot of things you can actually really explore and find here. And also the story is quite like it gives you quite an ambivalent story, which maybe makes it interesting also to use it as a background. I mean, we will discuss this question, but it's really an interesting phenomenon that just in this one game there's so many appropriations of this one game. It's almost it's a good question why it is so.
And one of the social aspects of real life Los Angeles, or most real life cities that are also part of Los Santos here, was the focal point of our first project that we're visiting here. Leon is just driving up to one of the sites where Alan Butler's Down and Out in Los Santos was created. Alan Butler basically took the role of an in-game journalist, working basically with the same, the same mechanics or mechanisms of a real-life journalist, going about the city and focusing on the disenfranchised, on the homeless people, on the social services. So over the time span of about a year, he made hundreds of photos showcasing Los Santos's disenfranchised people. And it's quite startling, really, how far the similarities go, both in the visual aesthetics that he created, which are really remarkably similar to how homeless people, or the whole concept of homelessness, is usually represented in real life media. And it's also interesting how both the game and in real life media, homeless people are even disenfranchised in media insofar as they can become sort of like what Alan Butler calls an ambient human presence. They don't really take part in the narrative, which is true for the game as well. So that's our first stop, and we'll have a second stop actually right across the street, so we can go on foot.
Let's hope that the chimpanzees doesn't get caught in traffic.
Yeah, this time I'm gonna try not to get run over.
It seems my server.
Your game crashed. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
You can
That's
join
my
us
part.
later. It's not
Yeah. It's not a problem because my. You too? Did
No,
you also?
The cat was almost run over by a car, but
Okay. Okay. I just restarted, but my driving skills are not that needed anyways right now, and and also could be
Whatever.
replaced easily. So it's more to it's better to talk about it outside of the game and until I'm logged in again. So we see this very beautiful gas station in front of us. Actually, it's filmed also by Alan Butler, the artist we have talked about right now. He was filming the most of I think all of the gas stations in Los Santos, which are very, very iconic, and iconically also creating images around the world. And with his work 20 gasoline stations from 2017, he was referring, I think the artsy-fartsy audience could acknowledge the reference of Ed Rusher's piece with the same name from the year 1962. So the way from the physical reality into the digital realm goes then back again to the physical reality by Alan Butler. So I'm now busy with
maybe we can steal another car while you're on the way, right?
yeah, a better one maybe.
So this one is.
This is a
this only
two-seater, I
has,
think.
I has only 2 seats. Yeah, let's choose another one.
What do you have against our beautiful six-wheeled
Here I am.
city
Yeah.
car?
We can use the SUV again if you insist.
I mean, it's what people drive in cities, don't they?
Yeah, this is most practical in cities, of course. Leon is back again.
Yes, here I am.
All right, then we'll wait for our driver, I guess.
Yeah, let's wait for our driver to join. Hey, These people are a bit not so friendly to chimpanzees.
What?
Oh!
Oh!
They are beating me.
Oh!
Why
They are beating the
Why
cat.
are you?
Why this
beating the
hammer?
cat.
Now they killed me. I
Let's
mean,
get out of here.
Why?
Please wait me.
Jump
They are against me.
jump in.
what is happening there?
It's okay.
Okay, so we only lost one
No,
of us.
yeah.
I mean, I guess that this answers Voucher's question. No.
Which directly leads us to the next artwork, doesn't it, Robin?
Yes, that's a perfect segue, actually.
Yeah. So because the next artwork is about violence. It's about real violence, like real life violence. It's called Elegy by Joseph Delap, or Elegy GTA USA Gun Homicides. And Joseph Delap is like maybe one of the well-known game art artists, like one already
Unlike
doing this for a long time. And he used the game and the game environment not to observe it, but to visualize another thing, like statistics, with the help of the game world. So project was a live stream of a camera floating around the city. And each day a number of NPCs, of non-playable characters, was spawned, equal to the people that were killed in gun-related murderers in the US in the whole year. And they were programmed in order to kill each other, so you could watch the number of gun murders each day being represented in the game. So it was a huge massacre every day, like so many people killed each other. Quite an extreme visualization of
Real life data.
Real life data that we have in this example, but it's quite shocking to see that, to say. Yeah.
So, were you able to find your way back to us, Robin, or are you still?
I'm
I think that the concept of our tour is that the person who is about to speak about the spot we are on is somehow like kicked out of the game.
Yeah. So let's go, huh? To the
Let's
next
go.
place. Yeah, I mean, of course, there are many references to violence in many artworks, which I think sometimes this is interesting, and sometimes it's also difficult to do that. But I think maybe the next one we're going to talk about is also a good example from this same kind of subgenre. But Leonhard, you will say something about it.
It's maybe because the gameplay just forces you in a way to create this violence, because you are like this person who has all these algorithms against you, because you have fast car, then you create a chaos very quickly in the game. So everything that is offered to you goes to create a chaos in the city.
I mean, violence is, it's true, yeah. Violence is really the most easiest thing to do.
For a gameplay,
yeah. Gameplay-wise. It's really offered to the players. You go, there is the hospital we're going to see on the left side. Maybe you can park the car there. Thank you, driver.
So, the cat is also violently leaving the car always. So we are here actually on a place from not an artist per se, but from a YouTuber, Rhyme Style, who was doing something which is very, very uncommon either here in the Los Santos game as well as is in its digital replica in Los Angeles. He was just walking, and by doing so he was triggering the other gamers to attacking him violently. And he was walking 10 hours in in Los Santos. That's also the name of the YouTube, and he was referring onto a YouTube phenomenon. Maybe most of us know 10 Hours Walking in New York as a woman, which showcases the molestings and harassments and the catcalls a woman is faced by just walking through New York, which caused a phenomenon with a lot of other imitators, like 10 Hours Walking as a black man, 10 Hours Walking as a Muslima in this and this city. So Rhyme Style was just adopting that kind of concept in order to show that the social space of Los Santos is very violent too, and peaceful interaction is quite difficult here.
And I guess this goes to show one of the conflicts between even hyperrealist open worlds and the gameplay that is kind of embedded in them. Because while Los Santos might feature or might replicate a lot of like real life cultural aspects and portray them, and while it's like a really detailed and open recreation of a real life city, it's still very limiting in the gameplay that you're able to take part in inside the game.
Saying that, even though the game actually really allows so many different actions. So actually you can go to play tennis, you can go to the cinema, you can go to hike here. But at the same time, even though the games allows you to have this option, still it's kind of not many people do these kind of things. They rather, most of them rather prefer to go around shoot people, I guess. So this is like this.
It's true that it's actually not always the game itself that is limiting, but rather the conditioning that you have as a gamer.
Probably.
Yeah.
But we're here at another site. Ismaël, you want to say something about Benoit Payet?
Yeah, so here's a place where there was a work from Benoit Payet, who is a Canadian photographer, and he did a series of photographs called Crossroads of Realities in 2014. And I think it's a good example of hyperrealism in the field of contemporary art, because he's investigating the relationship between photography and the virtual world. And in his work, he's really trying to blur the frontier between the two with a collage of real gesture, like he's showing his hand and the camera, but with a virtual background. So the result is really mesmerizing, and it gives you a perfect illusion with an hybrid reality.
Yeah, maybe there is the next stop on the way is actually a good continuity of the same principle. It's just ahead. We're coming now.
Since we're going to the beach now, let's make for some beach weather and use our god powers to turn on the light.
I think that's a very good idea.
And of course, it's not just any beach that we're going to, but a very famous one called Mussel Beach.
Which is so iconic, we all know that, hoppala.
It's there to the right.
Yeah. Because like it's a very important spot for Hollywood, and its imageries when it comes to Arnold Schwarzenegger here became the Arnold Schwarzenegger. We all know him from.
But also this place was featured in so many artworks. I mean, I know at least 3 different ones where this Mussel Beach is portrayed or is used.
So,
but of course, the reason we're here is a specific project.
Yeah, it's a movie from Alexander Radan. It's called In Between Identities, and it's also trying to blur the frontier between the real and the virtual, because Alexander Radan tries to capture some moments in the game with like a documentary gesture. He's really filming with a handheld camera is the screen of his TV, and in the same time he's playing to the game. So it's like a sort of schizophrenia shooting, and he was more looking to, to get very weird moments and strange situations, but with a feeling of reality, thanks to this documentary mise en scène. And there is like catching weird moment with the characters, the animations of the people that are living in this city, and there is a sort of dreamy aspect that contrasts to the handheld mise en scène.
It's
All
really
right.
And
weird.
it's like a
really
voyeurist,
weird movie,
film.
but it's
Yeah.
it's quite. It's
I guess
quite
let's beat it before Leon kills himself working out again.
But
Sorry, were you gonna take that seat?
it's okay. It's all yours. So let's take our beautiful car a bit further along the coast.
Hoppala.
Yeah, I have
since
to
we
add
have-
that yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
There's not so much violence in the film of Alexander Adam, but he was also playing a woman walking into the street, but naked or just with a bikini.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and
Since
he
we're
did. Yeah, okay.
Since we're on a bit of a longer drive, I think it's really time to shed some light on a term that we've been throwing around a couple times already, and talk a bit about hyperreality.
Yeah, what is actually hyperrealism? Hoppala!
Where are
Oh,
you
I have to
driving?
maneuver in through this highway. I'm on the wrong lane.
I mean, you might have an
Wow.
easier time explaining hyperrealism
Yeah.
if we're driving on the right side of the road, I think, so let's do that.
Okay, because it's
Not to
actually a
crash
quite
the game.
difficult one. No, like
Try not to crash the game.
so hyperrealism is the aesthetics of capitalism. It's the political aesthetics of hypercapitalism. Imagine a world just consisting out of Getty images. This is what hyperrealism is. And we are all like confronted and addressed as consumers rather than as citizens or both, to permanently swallow and suck all this hyperrealism. It was originally coined by Jean Baudrillard.
You have to go left here. Sorry,
Pardon?
you have to go left here.
Oh yeah. And Baudrillard, I really immersed into in his name, and then I forgot. Baudrillard was thinking of the hyperrealism as a dystopian utopian term in which there is nothing else anymore possible than just a world of hyperrealism. And why we are bringing it into play here in this game is because GTA is a hyperrealist world, which completely first is a pressure cooker, you can say, or une casserole à pression of the American superlatives on one hand, and on the other creates the magic of imageries with its esoteric of algorithm, referring always back to our world, which is like the same kind of imagery. So, and as we are
can discuss
here,
the term a bit more, but
Yeah.
maybe we can say a few words about this shop because it's a very specific shop. There was a movie being shot here by Jonne Hansen, The Convenience Store, and it really only plays. It's a short movie. It only plays in this one convenience store, which is a very kind of funny moment that he catches when some people that haven't met for a long time, they meet now in GTA 5 here in this weird supermarket, and there's this awkward moment of people not having met for a long time and kind of don't know what to say. It's being posted now in the chat. You can see it. It's I do like it, yeah, but maybe that we don't have to say so much more about it. It's better to see it, I guess. But it's really a very concrete place where one movie was shot, so we thought it's a good place to see. And there are some questions from the audience. Maybe we can just briefly imply them.
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, don't forget the
Oppa.
cat.
I have everything under control.
So they asked if we play on a private server or on a public server. Of course, it's a good question. We forgot to tell.
Yes, let's ram
This
these
is-
people.
It's a private server, so there are no real other humans involved in this world now. Only non-playable characters, only environment. And
But we had angry NPC that hated cats. So
or monkeys. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard to
monkeys.
say what caused the aggression, but apparently there was. And then they asked if there's some good graffitis in the city in Los Santos. Do you know that?
Yeah, we have some. Like there are, of course, some nice graffitis here, as it is part of his digital referent, of course. But we got also the information that we are having some heavy lags, unfortunately, on the stream.
I don't know. For my stream, it looks good. Maybe it's
Okay.
it's from Twitch. I don't know. For me, it's kind of okay. Yeah, and there's the reference, of course, to Harun Farocki, who also used the convenience store. Yeah, it's good. It's good to mention that.
To get back to the term of hyperrealism, I guess there's one more thing.
Oh,
that
sorry.
Oh, nice. Talking about hyperrealism, there's a common phrase saying that hyperrealism can feel more real than reality itself, and I guess it's worth pointing out why this phrase exists, given that hyperrealism is sort of like the language of capitalism and is the language that we typically communicate in our visual media. It plays a determinative role for the shapes of our concepts and ideas. For example, if you think about the concept of family and how that's portrayed in, let's say, advertisement. For example, if you take like the advertisement for, let's say, some investment opportunity, you'll typically have like family concepts that show like young, attractive families with young children, and these are of course hyper-realist concepts that then shape the idea of or shape what we think of the concept of family and what a family is supposed to be like, and given that our ideas and concepts are shaped by media, it can lead to the fact that reality itself might seem less real than what we communicate, or how we're communicating these concepts in media.
And to complement what you are saying, it's really have to deal with the concept of simulacra, which is an object that does not refer to any underlying reality, but claims to be the reality itself. So something like that.
Which is interesting because there's not only references in the game that point to things outside the game, but also the opposite. In reality, people quote the game world, and so it kind of becomes a sign of its own that is more than just a replication. So it's really good.
We are actually here at our next stop, here in the nature. It's this place is referring not to a specific place where the performance took place or the artwork took place, because it took place everywhere, but this was like prominently taking place. Sometimes it's referring to Brent Watanabe's San Andreas Deer Cam. He is actually not just an artist, but also a modder artist who is doing mods like the one for a deer, which makes the deer become, rather than an avatar, more than a bot, circling and routing through the city, and by doing that causing a lot of havoc, because as we pointed it out before already, you can't just walk or drive. By that you somehow confront the area and cause aggressiveness. So by just like with this deer cam touring and running through the city, cars explode and some gangs are start to shoot at the animal, which they think it's an aggressive intruder. it reveals also the aggressiveness of the code itself of the game.
There was a commentary. Oh, I'm sorry, I took the place of the cat.
Not allowed.
There's a commentary that, of course, the GTA tries to be as close as possible regarding the real LA and even including social issues and stuff like that, which is of course true, but at the same time, what they of course do is also telling this in cliches in some sense. So of course it's a kind of, it's not only a reference, but it's also kind of a reference to many references. It includes kind of because it's not only like they don't only try to build LA as it is, but they kind of refer also to LA as it's shown in movies, probably.
In movies.
And also it really became more than just a replication, as it's really a social place. It really means something to people, people refer to not only to LA but also to Los Santos. But there was Clement Setz, an Austrian author, wrote a text where he describes the life of an NPC in Los Santos, and when he switches on the radio, he hears a song about Los Angeles. So what must this NPC feel? What must he think? What this LA might be? So that kind of brings us maybe a bit closer to the question.
And of course, I mean, the only reason that, for example, projects like Down and Out in Los Santos that we discussed before can replicate the visual concepts that of let's say homelessness, for example, is because of the mere fact that such hyperreal cliches exist. I mean, there is, of course, a hyperreal concept of homelessness, which both real life and Down and Out in Los Santos media whoa. Almost.
Nice move.
Replicate. So of course there's always this critical question of, let's say, the critical potential of hyperrealism. Where at which point, if you replicate visual aesthetics, does critique start and normalization and replication of already existing cliches end?
It's a good question, probably, but I mean, I guess probably one of the reasons why GTA is so widely used, it's because it's just such a huge sandbox, and there you can find many things here. You can make your normal movie, just use it as a screen set, or you can really try to kind of also focus on the form of representation, also to criticize or focus on how things are told here. Yeah, maybe the next.
Yeah, it's still maybe the place which is the most hyperreal of, I think, of all the video games, because first it takes place in contemporary times, like in 2013, and second, it's of course like taking place in a city which almost exists in that sense. So like the sequel, Red Dead Redemption 2, isn't that a pastiche or isn't that hyper-realistic as it is in the past, or taking place in the past, for example, in Western times.
And that makes the difference also with The Sims, which has not a concrete reference to any city, because this is a very accurate. This is a simulation that tries to recreate all social life, but it's not referring to any concrete city. So that's why it's more on GTA that we see art pieces, or also some demonstration, as we have seen recently in some video games that handles the social network aspect.
And another of these so-called ambient human presences that don't really take any part in GTA's narrative, but are there nevertheless, are these migrant workers tending to the fields here, which have been the focal point for Felix Klay's Stoop Flavor. In Stoop Flavor, Felix Klay places two video reels side by side, one being the 50s US propaganda movie Why Braceros, which basically had the aim of bringing to terms the racist tendencies in US America with the capitalist demand for cheap imported labor. And on the other side, in the second video he uses for the film is shot in GTA on these very fields here, and then transformed to a black and white image. And here as well, same as in Down and Out Los Santos, it's quite startling how similar the visual aesthetics between the 50s propaganda footage and Felix's in-game footage is.
That's quite on the point of what we're discussing. Thanks for also participating in the chat. This is great. There's a posting saying the lack of proper representativity can also be found in the code limits. Yeah, of course, I agree. This is, of course, not completely possible to make a one-to-one copy of the city, but of course it needs to be a representation. It needs to be reduced and made smaller somehow. This is of course necessary. Do you feel like changing the means of transport, or you want to continue with this?
Yeah, why not?
Let's change.
On the air or on the ground?
Why not on the air?
Helicopter.
Yeah.
Helicopter.
Let's take a helicopter.
Ismaël, can you make a helicopter for us?
Yeah. Okay.
Since you are a cat and obviously have the necessary powers, magic powers to create a helicopter.
I know.
I mean, there are so many cat videos in which the cat just calls a helicopter or creates one.
I mean, we're just happy that cats don't use their abilities so often. Only rarely, really.
That's a very fancy helicopter. Does it have enough seats? Yeah. Yes, it has.
Wow. I know. I know. I can.
That's very senator class back here.
Ismaël. We forgot Ismaël. Let's go back.
The slow cat always. As we are
Jesus, what are you?
No.
What is doing the helicopter? I can't. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Leonhard now. What is this?
Okay, I'm gonna bail. No. I'm getting out of here.
It's not by purpose, I swear. Ooh.
Oh wow, that was just in time. Okay,
I'm dead.
Ismaël, we might need a second helicopter. Do you have another one of those up your sleeve?
No problem.
And maybe someone else can maybe take over the controls this time?
No. I'm really good at helicopters usually, but this got out of control. It can happen.
Now it's safer with a plane. So.
No.
Let's not.
Okay.
Let's try it with the helicopter again.
Okay. So. What about this?
Is helicopter something else in French? I mean, we can try that, but we will die.
I don't trust Leon with this, to be honest. I mean, I didn't trust him with the helicopter, but even less so with this. So
okay, sorry. It's okay. There was a mistake in my. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it
this one looks proper.
In your cat algorithms. Okay, yeah, this one looks good. Oh, why did I get into the driver's seat now? Let me.
Maybe it's a good
Wait
thing.
me. Okay. I have some glitch.
So there's a question in the chat asking if we know if there's any art project that deal with the solo story of the game with Franklin, Trevor, and Michael, because it seems that all art projects I know approach the Hyperreal.
Please,
Hyperreal.
I cannot go. Yeah. I'm in.
You're in?
You're
Okay.
fine?
Whew.
Okay. Leonhard, you're fine?
Yeah, I'm totally
You get
fine.
a second chance. The driver gets a second chance.
The pilot. Yeah.
So, but the map has been shaped for a specific story with characters and ideology. So I wonder how that narrative aspect influences the artists. Yeah, do you know any art project that deals with this concrete story? I don't, to be honest.
To be honest, I
No.
don't either.
No.
What do you mean by concrete story?
Is
By
there
the
an
concrete-
artwork
By the single player.
that deals
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the single player story?
I mean,
With
referring
Michael Trevor
that is
and,
continuing the story of the game.
Or
No,
kind of
which is-
referring to it, deconstructing the main story, or
Okay, no, I don't know.
I don't know of any either.
So yeah, but it's interesting also because I think the story of GTA 5 is quite. I mean, at
gangster.
least for a AAA
Gangster.
game story, it's quite controversial and it's quite. There's things to discuss in the story. I'd say it's not like just a very familiar trope, but more interesting than others.
Yeah, it refers a lot to social classes also, different social classes.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
why I guess one could say there are individual ideologies and concepts in the main story that are picked up in art projects for sure, but none that I know of that directly refers to the characters in the main game.
Well landed.
That is
Thank you.
really, I'm genuinely surprised.
Let's steal a car from here, huh?
Yeah, I tried to get one.
I'm just gonna look away and pretend like we're not dragging
we're having one.
driver out of
I
their
have
car. We have a car?
I have one.
Okay.
If you want to take over, Leon.
Please.
Is... Okay.
The woman ran away. That
She's taking the
former
helicopter.
owner.
She's taking the
It's a
helicopter.
good trade, I guess. I wouldn't complain.
So why did we land on this exact spot?
Ismail.
Ismail.
Yeah. So this spot with this light is referring to a film called Marlowe Drive, and this is a documentary by Guillaume Cos, Étienne Barbier, and Quentin Lelgouache. It was released in 2017. So it's an experimental film, sort of cinema verite, where a journalist called Adam Kesher is interviewing real people in the style of Jean Rouge, but in the online Los Santos environment. And the film has many references to another film, a fictional film, Mulholland Drive, which was directed by David Lynch. And I would say that the introduction scene of Marlowe Drive pays an homage to Mulholland Drive in the sense that it's almost a shot-by-shot remake of the David Lynch movie.
This was the deer. This was the deer cam from Brent Watanabe.
No, you almost killed the deer.
No.
Yeah, so I guess as we're driving back to the city, I mean, we've mentioned modding quite a couple of times, since a lot of these projects make use of mods. Maybe Ismail, since you're also working with modding in your film, you could talk a little bit about the role of modding in all this.
Yes. So first, maybe it's time to open a little parenthesis about the game itself, how it was built. So it's a game which has a story, of course, with 3 characters, but you can also choose not to be part of the story and just wander in the city. And it's an open world because it modelizes more than 35 kilometers of Los Angeles. And why this game is so successful during all these years is because you can use it as a plasticine and add some modification of the game. It can be related to the gameplay, like for example, if there is a Spider-Man game, you can implement some Spider-Man gameplay into GTA, or if there is COVID, you can change all the graffiti to make reference about the COVID inside the game. So it's really like plasticine. And this allows you, as a filmmaker, to extend the possibilities in the way that you can appropriate the aesthetic and change it in something that fits more the subject of your film, and that you are not in the constraint of doing some Hollywood film. It can be more abstract. And in my case, I worked with some developers that made some that are making a private server with more options than the regular online GTA. And we chose to remove textures to have a more metaphorical aspect in the mise en scène of my film, and this is called wireframe. So
Which,
this
by
is
the way,
one
you can
step
see
of,
on stream now.
yeah. So it's
Oh wow,
it's
a
one,
live demonstration.
it's
So nice.
it's a way to render the game engine. It's a step of the game engine rendering. So you have also another aspect which is black and white shades, like a game called Limbo, who use this aesthetic, or an
Very
art
good
piece, or an art piece of Hugo Arcier, which is called Ghost City, and he has a kind of very bare representation of the whole city, and presented like a desert, like dehumanized Los Santos.
So I
And
guess that's
as you maybe have found out, we're driving in circles because we're already at the cinema, in fact. Well landed.
well landed. So yeah, I mean, Ismaël just mentioned again, as we did before, that GTA is an open world game. Yet, of course, even though it's an open world game, every game has its limitations, provided by the gameplay that's intended. And I guess this is a good segue to our concluding stop of the tour, the cinema, where we'll watch our films, because both Ismaël Swatted as well as our film, How to Disappear, deal with making the limits of games, or the specific games they are shot in, visible. Ismaël, maybe you want to say a couple of introductory words briefly about your movie.
Yeah, so it's Swatted is a film about the swatting phenomenon, which is when some people are calling the 911 and pretending to have killed the mother or the father, and they give the address and their name, but it's not their name and their address, it's someone else that they are targeting. And they are, like, most of the time people who are targeted are doing a live stream. So I hope that nobody would be swatted tonight, right?
Yeah. I wasn't so far.
So far, so good.
Yeah, Mise en Abîme is okay, but yeah, not tonight.